to my channel. Have you ever asked yourself what specific components or questions you should get answers before you start any communication in a project? There are basically 6 questions you should ask yourself before you even start any communication in a project or program setup. Don't worry, in this video, I'm going to take you through the 6 questions or components that you have to ask yourself as you plan to do any communication in a project or program environment. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Oscar Mbira. I'm a certified program and project manager. This is the channel which I use to help aspiring and also practicing project managers to succeed. So in this video, I'm going to take you through all that is required in terms of communication in a project or program environment. So let's dive in. So the first one is what to communicate. If you're a project manager, which is you should be able to understand from a bigger picture what needs to be communicated. We are going to go through these components for you to appreciate how you formulate the communication strategy document. So after understanding what needs to be communicated, for example, you might want to communicate end of stage or end of phase. For example, you might want to communicate if there's an exception. You might want to communicate, say for example, you have missed a deadline, or maybe you have lost your biggest customer or your biggest supplier, or there is a major catastrophe in the project. You might want to communicate. So that is very important if you're a project manager. It is very important for you to understand, if you're a project manager, what exactly are you supposed to communicate. Communication, remember I said it before, communication can be outside the project, or it can be into the project, or even within the project. But what exactly do you need to communicate? That has to be very clear if you're a project manager. From my experience, that is one of the first things I always make sure that I document what needs to be communicated. Then, the second component is why do you have to communicate? That is very, very important. You cannot just communicate to anyone for whatever reasons. There must be a specific reason you have to communicate. Say for example, what I normally do, I communicate with my team members, especially when there's something that is towards the deadline and I just want to remind them. So the why part or the reason why I'm communicating with them is to remind them that a specific task is either due or the due date is imminent. That will help the project team members to also appreciate the agents and probably work on it, and then to avoid any timelines slippages. So that is very important. As a project manager, you should always appreciate and understand why do you have to communicate. For example, you want to communicate to project board about a specific milestone that has been achieved. So the main reason why you're communicating is achievement of a milestone. That is very, very, very important. I hope you have enjoyed the video so far. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to click the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification button so that you're the first person to be notified each time a new video is uploaded on this channel. It will also help the channel to grow. It can also help the channel to produce more videos like this one. And the third component of it is when. So when are you supposed to communicate? In other words, we are talking of the frequency here. At what frequency are you supposed to make the communication? For example, if you are communicating with project board members, most of them, they don't want to be involved into the day-to-day running of the project. So therefore, they might end up suggesting that let's have it maybe after a month, maybe during the start of the project, which can be changed towards the end of the project. So they might suggest that we want the communication or progress in the project after a month. So you'll find that after a month, you have to prepare the required documents, the required reports, and then you communicate with the project board. So when to communicate is very important. For example, if you have got your team members, there's something that you know is a bit complex, you find that regular or daily communications are very important than weekly or monthly communication. So when to communicate is very important, and you must consider that as a project manager so that you don't miss any type of communication that might be required at any given point of the project. What I normally do myself is to make sure that I create the stakeholder analysis properly, and then make sure that each and every stakeholder you identify. So after understanding when to communicate, you also need to appreciate where to communicate. You don't just communicate. There are some cases where you need to understand exactly how are you supposed to do the communication. Is it going to be done in a face-to-face? Are you going to do it in the project office? Are you going to do it in head office? If it's you have so many geographical locations, that is very, very important. You need to know where are you going to do the communication as a project manager. Then, after understanding where you're supposed to do the communication, you also need to appreciate how are you going to do the communication. Sometimes, from what I've seen with my experience in other projects, when it comes to how are you going to communicate, There are some cases where probably just a report is enough. So how are you going to communicate? You communicate through a report. That becomes very, very simple. And then, after understanding how we are going to do the communication, one also important point is who is actually going to do the communication. That is very, very important. You don't want communication to be done by anyone, especially if you're working on a very sensitive projects. You don't want everyone to just be communicating. You do not want everyone to just be communicating to everyone at any given moment. It must be controlled. So who is going to communicate is a very, very critical question you should answer during the startup phase of the project. For example, you might say, when it comes to communication to the board, then it means the project manager is going to do that. When it comes to communication to the, say, technical committee, of course, as a project manager, you might be available, but your lead technical person should be the one to communicate to the technical body or to the technical committee, just to make sure that in terms of the domain language, they are using the right domain language. So that is very, very important. Who is going to communicate? It must be very clear in terms of roles and responsibility. I hope you have enjoyed the video so far. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to click the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification button so that you are the first person to be notified each time a new video is uploaded on this channel. It will also help the channel to grow. It can also help the channel to produce more videos like this one. If you want me to create additional videos based on what we have covered in this video, including the concepts, the techniques, or you have got any specific clarification that you might want to understand, let me know in the comment section below.